Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and that Muhammad is his last messenger and divine prophet. Welcome to the Journal of Truth. This is your brother Sami Muhammad, and I thank Almighty God Allah for each and every one of you for tuning in to the Journal of Truth. I like for all you mothers to go and get your sons, all you wives, go and get your husbands. We're going to have a talk with them this evening about a man's class that every black man in the city of Detroit need to be a part of. So stay tuned here on the Journal of Truth. Unity is the key. Since Allah, God, did not come to us quarreling, why should we quarrel with one another? We must recognize and respect his love for us and not let him hear us quarreling and disrespecting his presence. Proudness is a sickness. This is why we are divided. We will be one or nothing. The more you learn, the less you seek advantage. Don't be careful that you agree on right, but be careful that you don't agree on wrong. Don't withhold your good just because another withholds his good. You do your part. Greeting a Muslim is binding upon you. If you do not, your mind is not right. The right medicine for the disease in our heart is the spirit of Allah. Fear is the worst enemy of man. When you find a man that doesn't fear, that is the winner. These are the words of our beloved messenger Messiah Elijah Muhammad, and he calls this great teaching to you and I a thought on unity. Let us hear and obey the words of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Let us set aside our differences and unite. All praise is due to Allah. I'd like to welcome to the mic one of our great brothers. He is a lieutenant in the Nation of Islam. Yes, we have military in the Nation of Islam, and this is our great brother, Lieutenant Brother Marlon. He's here with us, and we're going to talk a little bit about the FOI, and we also have our great student assistant minister here, Brother Clyde Muhammad. So stay tuned to the Journal of Truth. Don't go anywhere, brothers and sisters, because the time is at hand. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Muhammad.
Alaikum salam, sir.
How you doing?
I'm well, brother. How about you?
I'm doing excellent. I finally got you here.
Yes, sir.
Praises be to Allah. Happy to get you here, brother.
Yes, sir.
Happy to get you here. This evening, we want to talk to our listening audience, and we want to focus on the black man. And here in the book that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has written called Message to the Black Man in America, on page 321, I'm going to quote what he is saying. He says, on fruit of Islam. The fruit of Islam means the first converts to Islam here in America, and the first people to be clean and made fit to be called Muslim. And their training is on this basis, as being Muslims, to keep in practice, not just say it is their faith or belief. You must put into practice the principles of Islam that you believe in and serve as an example for others who would accept Islam. Now, tomorrow evening, we're having a great gathering of black men at Muhammad Mosque, and I'd like for you to go over a little of that, Brother Marlon, concerning that, and exactly what that's all about.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Brother Sami,
You're welcome, sir.
For the opportunity. And so, in reference to your quote, the fruit of Islam, being a member of the FOI, it's incumbent upon me and all the men of the FOI to be that which the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan states we are, what we all should strive to be. We want to be a good example. When a man teaches as long and as hard as Minister Farrakhan has taught, it would be a disservice if the example of those teachings cannot be displayed somewhere. So when we say we have a class, we're offering an opportunity for all men to get a look into the class that we refer to as God's class, because there's nowhere else in the world are you going to get this type of teaching. You can't go to high school. You can't go to a university. You can't go to any technical or vocational school and learn what God wants you to be. You can learn what our enemy wants us to be. You can learn what your employer wants and wishes for you, but you can't find what God wants for you unless you come to the class. And so tomorrow at 7:30 at our mosque, we're going to offer the opportunity for the men to see what it is that we're trying to impart on us so that they can get a glimpse and make a decision. Because we all have to make the choice. Is this for me? Is this what I want? We'll be held accountable if we don't give you the proper information to make the right decision. We have to give it to you straight as it was given to us. You can reject it or accept it. That's your choice. But as long as we give it to you properly. And so tomorrow we're going to give you that information. But a little bit of the lineup we got, man, it's such a beautiful class. How about this? How about talking to some of our entrepreneurs? Men who said, I heard Do for Self was the program, and I'm doing for myself. How about that? We're going to have that as an offer for the men who show up. And you can learn how to do for yourself, too. Or how about male-female relationships? We all got troubles in our house, right? Mm-hmm. Nobody has the key to how to successfully hold a marriage. The divorce rate is the highest it's ever been in the world. So when we get a man such as our brother Majid, who's going to our former captain, who's been married over 25 years,
yes,
to talk about some of the keys and the tools that was successful and him keeping his marriage, not just a healthy but a happy marriage. This is something we want to know about, right?
That's right.
That's right.
Because right now, divorce is our number one enemy. The enemy does not want us to be a family, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they want us divided. They want you over there. They want the children with us, you know, part of the time, with them some of the time, and that way they can get no kind of sense of security. Or how about this? How about father-son relationships? Right?
Right.
Many of us are men. We don't even know how to raise our children because we don't understand this generation. Partly because we don't understand ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to get into all of that and even some more. So I'll just kind of leave that out there.
That's excellent. That's excellent. We're again here with our assistant, Minister Clyde. Brother Clyde, what would you like to add to what Brother Lieutenant Marlon has just shared with us?
Well, I would like to add, there's not much I can add to that because he said a mouthful. When you talk about marriage, male-female relationships, that's so important. When you talk about father-son relationships, you know, there was a statistic out that men only talk to their children like 8 minutes a week. And I'm not talking about instructions, take the garbage out, do your homework, wash the walls, do this, do that. I'm talking about two-way conversation where you getting from them as you give to them. They say it's like 8 minutes a week. You know, so we must do a better job with that. And when you talk about FOI class, a class that God put together, you're talking about a class that's full of discipline. And, you know, I heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan say, where there's no discipline, there's no love. So you got to have discipline. And in the FOI, we teach discipline. And you talk about men sharpen men like steel sharpen steel. You mean to tell me that, sister, you wouldn't want your husband in a class like that? You wouldn't want your son in a class like that? You wouldn't want your nephew to come here? So like First Officer was just saying, you know, it's like setting up a clean glass against a dirty glass and let them make their own decision.
Right.
But in order for them to make the proper decision, they must be there to see and hear for themselves. So I think it's very, very powerful. I think it's something that I know can transform lives because it transformed mine. You know, I've been in this over 25 years myself.
Yes,
you know, so I know where I came from when I came in. I know what I was doing. I was just like the rest of the brothers out in the street. But when I got this discipline, when I got this word that actually taught me how to think to live, how to eat to live, how to treat myself, how to fall in love with myself, and gave me discipline and structure, that's powerful.
Yes,
and if you want discipline and structure in any of your males around you, you need to send them to this class tomorrow night at 7:30 sharp.
7:30, 14880 Wyoming. You know where we're at. We're on the northwest side of the city. We're near Finkel. You all know where we're at. You've been passing us by a few times.
Yes.
Come on out to this class. It's a men's only class, a men's only class. And so it's very important to come to this class. This is the most important class in history. There
Yes,
have
sir.
never been a history for the
God
black
set
man
it
in
up.
America.
That's
God
right.
set it up.
That's right.
So, and now the messenger continues. He says, and trained into the knowledge of what the aims and purpose of Islam are, they are to clean up a people who are not clean morally as well as spiritually in America, and to make them fit to become good members of the society. So we're always hearing on the news, we were talking about it earlier with our minister, Troy Muhammad, about the image of the black man that the media, the TV, the radio is putting all over the world, so that the people get the wrong image of the black man. But again, when we talk about the Million Man March,
Right.
and add another million to that 1 million,
Right.
all of a sudden they can't count. They sending rocket ships in the air, but they couldn't count past 1 million. You see?
Yes.
But the time is at hand for this unity. You do not have to be a registered member.
Correct.
This class and tomorrow's gathering is for all black men,
Yes, sir. That's correct. That's
Right?
correct. That's right.
because you may hear, well, you ain't no Muslim. You don't have to be a Muslim. The doors are open for black men, right?
That's right. Yes, sir. We got a flyer circulating, and you can see on the flyer where there's caricatures of different street organizations.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and that's generally to get everybody understanding everybody's welcome.
That's right.
Now, we in the nation, we pride ourselves on our security, and we also pride ourselves on being the example that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan desires men to be. And I say that for this reason. I want the men to understand that you don't have to worry that you're going to come. You might have opposition. It's not going to be none of that.
That's right.
We're not going to allow anything into the mosque that's contraband. So you don't have to worry about, I think I got a problem with him, and he's probably going to try to get me. It's not going to happen there.
That's right.
In fact, I would almost, if I was a betting man, guarantee you that if the two of you remain for the duration, it's not going to happen ever.
That's right.
Because there's no way possible for you to still have festering in your heart some kind of animosity once you understand who your brother is. And that's what we aim to do tomorrow. We want to get the beginning process of knowledge of self to our people, because with the knowledge of self, we won't have an incident like happened last night at the White Castle, where 3 men lose their life
Yes, sir.
for whatever reason, because unfortunately we live in a time now where you can't even offend a person without it resulting in some kind of violent act. There was a time when you could take much. We just don't take anything now. And we've been conditioned that we should have that type of attitude towards our own people. Okay, now I'm not advocating anything against others, but I'm just saying if you can allow a man to disrespect you, disrespect your family, your mother, let's just say that, as our enemy has done hundreds of years, and you not lift a pinky finger, why should your brother be warranted 18, 19, 20 gunshots
Right.
for maybe looking at you crazy or even saying something crazy?
Right.
So that lets us know our mind is off. So we want to try to recalibrate the thinking of the black man, and we're going to start tomorrow, as we've been doing. We got examples of men who, like Brother Clyde say, they used to be out there. I'm one. I was a drug dealer, a hustler, and the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad changed all that, made me different, made me want to repair where I destroyed the community.
Transformation.
Absolutely. And so I'm saying to our brothers, if you're listening, man, come on out. Come on out. Not doing nothing else.
Right. Come on.
Not doing nothing productive anyway. I guarantee you that. And for our sisters that might be listening, wouldn't you want a man who's going to be more respectful for you?
That's right.
One who's going to do more as far as pulling his weight in your home? Then some of our women are taking care of grown men. Well, bring him down. Allow us the opportunity to show him how he should be doing more in your relationship. And if he doesn't, after hearing from us, I guarantee you that either he wasn't paying attention or he just doesn't want the best for himself. And that should be an indication for you he don't want the best for you. See, we can fix the problem easily, right? You can make your decision based on how he makes his decision.
All right.
So it behooves you to hold him back.
Well, I want to thank you, Brother Lieutenant and Brother Minister, for being
Yes,
here.
sir.
We're going to take a break right now.
Okay.
We're going to bring on our minister, Brother Minister Troy Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
And again, that's tomorrow evening at 7:30
7:30.
at the historic Muhammad Mosque, number 1, Michigan. We're
Yes, sir.
located at 14880 Wyoming. Get your fathers, your sons,
Yes, sir.
your grandsons, drop them off, and we'll take care of them.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for listening as we greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.
Hey, can I talk to you for a minute?
Not now, we're playing.
Just a minute.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum once again, brothers and sisters. We're back here on the Journal of Truth with our special guest. Our great minister Troy Muhammad is with us, and the great Norman Muhammad is here with us on the Journal of Truth. And we're going to continue the talk. Everybody has been having beautiful conversations about our sister, our dear sister, Aretha Franklin. And we've just come from a week of beautiful information about this beautiful black woman. And so a lot of these talk around town is going on about our great sister Aretha Franklin. Those of you who may not know, 90,000 copies of the Final Call newspaper were given as complimentary gifts from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan concerning our sister Aretha Franklin. So we like to, last week we spoke about it, and like to continue that with Brother Minister Troy Muhammad.
Well, let's continue that, dear brother. You know, first of all, it's always an honor to be on the Journal of Truth and try to represent the truth as taught by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and given us today by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I'm always honored to be with you and by your side, and with my brother Norman, and by his side, with my brother Daniel, and by his side.
Yes, sir. All praise is due to Allah. So why? The question is circulating through the community concerning the Honorable Louis Farrakhan and not speaking during the homecoming events at our sister Aretha Franklin's funeral.
Well, I mean, if you study what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan did this week, he did a lot of speaking.
Yes, sir.
He spoke in the delivery of 90,000 Final Call newspapers, which you mentioned earlier, and I think you said you mentioned it last week, with a word concerning our sister Aretha Franklin. This was 90,000 papers, which was not no charge. It was a
Yes, sir.
gift that he paid for himself as a gift to the city of Detroit in particular. When he called me on the phone, he told me that he wanted to gift the city of Detroit with this,
Yes, sir.
with these papers. And if you open the paper, he has many valuable words about Sister Aretha Franklin, about her spirit and what type of person she was and how God created her and brought forth something, you know, such a great human being in her. But he wanted that gift translated to say that everybody who's reading the paper has that same gift from God. God has given each of us beauty, each of us greatness, each of us talent, that if we dig deep down, we can bring that talent, that gift, that beauty out. So the minister is given a gift that will continue to give. He's given a word that will continue to give in the gift that he gave in the Final Call, because it's a call on each of our lives to be better than
That's
we
right.
are today, be greater than we are today,
sir.
to give more than we are giving today. As Aretha gave more, she gave so much that you had people travel from all over the world
That's
to
right.
pay respect to the Queen of Soul. But what about you? What about me?
That's
What about us?
That's
There's
right.
something that each of us have inside that God has placed there, that if we find it and tap into it, we can bring it out and touch the same world that Aretha touched in many different ways. So the minister gave, and he said a lot without saying much.
That's right.
Last week here in Detroit, I was blessed to be with him the 3 days that he was here, and everywhere he went, you know, I saw how the crowds were affected by just his presence.
Yes, sir.
How it made people feel more valuable that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan would come down to New Bethel Church where everybody was standing in line, and he'd get out his car right there and go in and view the body just like everybody else.
Yes, sir.
You know, it was inspirational to see him attend the concert venue at what used to be Shane Park, but is now the Aretha Franklin Amphitheater.
Yes, sir.
You know, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan went into Shane Park, and he sat right amongst the people, man, and listened to the tribute, the music tribute that was going on Thursday. And I sat back and I watched how the people responded and how they felt good that their brother would come out
That's
and
right.
be amongst them, you
Yes.
know. So he said a lot without saying much, man. And then at the funeral, just so everybody would know, in going to the funeral, the minister asked the family that he be allowed to come as a mourner.
Yes, sir.
He wanted to come to the funeral not to speak, but as a mourner, to mourn with the people.
Yes, sir.
And he didn't expect to be on stage. He didn't ask to be on stage. In fact, we were sat in maybe the second row, and then he was invited on stage and brought on stage and sat in the middle of the stage.
Yes, sir.
Now, at that point, you know, he said, you know, they could have asked him to speak, but he didn't think they wanted to ask him to speak.
Right.
You know, because once you put him up there, you know, it sets up a whole different dynamic, because
Yes,
now
sir.
you have him sitting in the very front, and everybody's sitting there and they're waiting to hear from him.
That's right.
And a lot of us, not out of disrespect, but out of stuff we had to do, we were ready to leave after the 2-hour mark, you know.
Right.
But a lot of people stayed on because they were expecting to hear words from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who would have given some great and beautiful words, I'm sure,
Yes, sir.
as he did at the Rosa Parks tribute and memorial. You know, however, he said he didn't think they wanted him to speak, but his initial request was to come as a mourner. So he was satisfied with sitting on that stage, and he told me he enjoyed every minute of it. He enjoyed listening to the different expressions of our people.
Yeah.
He enjoyed the music that he heard. He just enjoyed the whole thing. And if you watched it, you would see that he was smiling from the beginning
That's
to
right.
the end. You didn't see
That's
him
right.
on a phone conversation
That's
talking to somebody. You didn't see him talking with somebody in the background. He paid attention from the beginning to the end because he wanted to hear the God and the gifts that were coming from all of our people who came up there on that day. So he enjoyed himself. He wanted to come as a mourner, which he did. He even told us that he would be putting out a video presentation in the next week or two, you know, explaining his position, you know, and saying possibly what he would have said if he was given the opportunity to share words.
Well, I want to thank you, Brother Minister Troy, for that, because that shed a big, bright light
That's right.
on the community and the people. Everybody's asking that question. We have our...
Well, the thing about asking the question, it's like, I mean, you're not doing what he tell you to do anyway. So to ask the question is one thing, but why are you asking the question? If you're not, I mean, because we can hear the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan every week.
That's right.
You can pull him up on YouTube, listen to his words on YouTube, and get guidance for our lives that can help change our
That's right.
lives, man.
That's right.
So to wrangle over why he didn't speak at a funeral when he speaks constantly,
That's
man,
right.
and you can extract wisdom from him constantly, you know, what are you going to do with what you got? Or are you using what you got?
That's right.
You know, he told me one time, or he told us as we were sitting at the table, he said, they call me the reminder, but it's offensive because you don't do what I remind you to do.
That's right.
Yes,
You
sir.
know? So, you know, this man is in our presence. He's not for entertainment. He's not for play. He is real, and the message that he has is real. And if we as a people take that message and apply it to ourselves, if you as an individual take the message and apply it to yourselves, I promise you that you won't be the same tomorrow as you are today. You know, none of us are perfect.
That's
So
right.
we all need a little healing, but in his words is a healing that can help all of us if we apply it.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you, Brother Minister. 30 minutes sure goes fast, don't
That's
it?
right, that's
But,
right.
brothers and sisters, I'd like to invite you all to the historic Muhammad Mosque number 1, Michigan, every Sunday to hear our great Minister Troy Muhammad at 11 a.m., 14880 Wyoming. We're on the northwest side of the city. You know where we at. Drop in at 11 o'clock on Sundays to hear our great state representative of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
And we got all men's FOI class, open class tomorrow night at 7:30 at 14880 Wyoming. We want all your men. Bring sisters, bring your sons, bring your baby daddies, bring that man laying on the couch, drop him off at 14880
That's right.
Wyoming so we can help him get himself together.
That's right.
So we can help him get his mind right so that he can treat you right and lift our community up, because his place is not at the tail, but it's at the head, because as a community, we can't go anywhere without the black man having his head on right. So he got to get knowledge in his head, wisdom in his head, understanding in his head, and that's what we want to give him tomorrow night at Muhammad's Mosque number 1, 14880 Wyoming, open FOI class. Come on out, brothers.
Thank you. And may Allah continue to bless all of us to see, hear, and understand the life-giving teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, being continued by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, whose state representative is sitting right here with us, our great Minister Troy Muhammad. Thank you for listening as we greet you in peace.
Assalamu alaikum.
Hey, can I talk to you for a minute?
Not now,